people in the community, adult learners, and of course the program has developed and grown since then, but we're very proud of the mission and how long we've been doing this. And hi, I see someone else has just joined. Just a quick introduction. I'm Rebecca Carr. I'm a professor of practice in digital design, and with me is Brittany Yandel, who is the senior academic advisor. Okay, so what are the options for learning at Tulane SOPA? So we have online, some classes that are completely online. We have on campus, and we are going back to campus in a kind of modified version in the fall. And then in digital design, we're launching, and actually it turns out to be quite timely with COVID, we're launching something new called the Cell, which is a compound classroom. And the idea of it was because digital design program kind of lends itself to sitting around a table and having critiques, we tried to address kind of the pain points of online classes. So what the Cell is about a portion of the class, about 6 people will be in this smaller classroom, and then there'll be an overhead camera that will have everyone else on Zoom on a huge monitor, and so we'll really be able to see each other even better than we do, just on a regular Zoom call. And then the other thing we offer is we have some day classes. There's some at noon for people who are working who want to take class during their lunch break. We have evening classes and even some Saturday morning classes. Okay, so digital design. Digital design program, the overall mission is to kind of bridge the gap between art, technology, and really what we focus on is problem solving, creative problem solving. So, there's a challenge. Designers are often given a challenge of they need to solve something, they need to figure out how to present something in a way that can, persuade people to change their mind or to buy something. So we try to do that, and we try to be very industry relevant. We work with a lot of local agencies and designers in the community. So students, the overall goal is to work to build a really strong professional design portfolio. And we do a lot of stuff kind of outside the classroom. We try to go to conferences when we can. We have networking events. We try to bring in speakers, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a later slide. Okay, so I know that this webinar is specifically geared towards a post-bac certificate. So what is it? And you may kind of have looked this up already, but what it is it's a certificate that's available after students already have a bachelor's degree. Now the bachelor's degree can be in something completely unrelated. And so the PBC is made up of undergraduate courses and 10 total courses, making up 30 credit hours in the track of your choice. And we're about to talk about the 3 different tracks. So we kind of tailor this to fit the person. If, you may have a lot of experience with, say, Photoshop from a job that you did or something like that, then we can maybe, there's not an absolute number of classes. Maybe that class could be switched out for something else if you already have that kind of experience. So Brittany and Dr. Garcia work really closely to figure it out personal for everyone. Okay, so let's talk about the 3 tracks. Please, again, you all feel free to just type in the chat or just take yourself off mute and ask a question at any point. The graphic design track is actually primarily what I teach in, but not entirely. What it does, it prepares students for careers in branding, print design, some of the little elements of print design, poster design, book design. We focus very heavily on typography because typography, spans all of the tracks. Publication design, and we do definitely in the graphic design field always dip into the interactive world to learn a little bit about UX design, interactive design. So here's a few of the classes that we take. Digital illustration and digital imaging are taught by Corey Guerra, who's amazing. It's Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop. So this is kind of the start. Foundations is an overview of everything. And then we have Typography Studio, which I teach. And then it kind of goes from there, and there are more classes even than this on the track, but this is just a small sampling. And oh, I'm sorry, on the right, these are some student work, some designs done by our students, some of which have won awards. This first one was, the celebration was for a service learning project, and we try to do that within the community too, where we find you know, a nonprofit who, you know, doesn't have a budget for design work, and we work directly with that nonprofit, have the students work with them so that the students get experience working directly with clients. Okay. All right, and this was a design done by student Kathy Hume in typography class, and this was an invitation for you know, a workshop that she could imagine, but this won Best of Show at the Addy Awards. And this is just an example from the graphic design track. Okay, and so the interactive design track, and again, there's a lot of crossovers between the graphic design and interactive track. Students want to kind of take classes in both, and they're very, very related to each other. So interactive prepares students for careers in user experience, UX, and user interface, UI, web design, of course, app design, and social media. We have classes just specifically about social media. So here's just, you know, a sampling of some of the classes. We have the students also learn After Effects. They learn all aspects of everything interactive while at the same time learning about typography and basic design principles. And on the right is a, is a design of an app by student Tamsin Jenkins that I think got won an Addy Award too, where she's coming up with this concept of, like, it's almost like a dating app between pairing a dog that you might want to adopt with the person. And here's another student app that, of the concept that they came up with and the design that they did. And they work through all stages of the app. You know, they figure out, you know, what page will go to where, and they actually make it work in Adobe XD. So this is about learning about wine. Okay, that's fine. So this one is done by student Grady Bell. And it's just, he made it about really technical stuff about coffee, and his also, this, I think, got a gold Addy Award. All right, and here are some of the faculty. This isn't everyone, but there's just a few people to kind of talk about. Dr. Garcia is the program director. She's amazing. She's really hands-on. She will work with each individual student. One of her specialties is in design activism. She also teaches classes. She's great. Her email will be at the end of this presentation. The game art department, and I guess not sure that we've talked about that yet, but Josh Jertberg is the lead animator. He works for In Exile Entertainment here in town. And then after him, we've got Peter Giaffria. He is really amazing. He's an animator, he's an illustrator. Students have really gotten a lot out of his classes. Samantha Barnes is our kind of primary adjunct faculty in interactive design. She just knows so many things. She's like an encyclopedia, but she teaches classes in email marketing, in web design, in app design. And a few more faculty members. John Carr, he's a copywriter. He's out in Portland, Oregon, and he teaches online, but he's amazing. He's been doing this a very, very long time. This is a new class we've introduced. It's very relevant to both of those tracks. And then Jessica Peterson is, she's a letterpress designer, and she owns the Southern Letterpress in town. And what's really cool is we have a class where students can learn letterpress, which is an old, an old printing form using metal and wood type, and it's really fun. And students actually are able to go out to her, her studio at the Southern Letterpress. And I've already introduced myself. Aisha Champagne teaches our foundations courses. She's great. She's a publication and editorial designer, and she actually works full-time for Tulane as a designer. Okay, so a little bit about the student experience. We want to, like we said, we want to go beyond just what we do in the classroom. So we definitely bring speakers into the classroom who are people who work in the field. We always try to attend. There's a conference that takes place in Baton Rouge, and we have often been able to bring students to that. We have an AIGA student group, and what AIGA is, it's the American Institute of Graphic Arts, but it spans like all forms of of design, you know, all the little niches. And it's a national organization, and then there's a local chapter, and then we have a student chapter. So we work with the local chapter and the students. We have a board that's just made up of students, and they kind of get to decide the events that they think would be the most helpful and the most fun. We do things like, you know, study sessions for, or not study, but I guess project work sessions around finals. We've had like a headdress workshop around Mardi Gras that was super fun. They just do different creative things. The Addy Awards, I keep talking about those. Those are put on by the Ad Club. It's the Ad Club of New Orleans locally, but there's also a national organization too. I think we're going to start a student chapter of that as well, starting in the fall. And we kind of facilitate helping students enter. And as you can see, we've won a lot of awards. A lot of the students have won awards. It's really great for them. We even had a student win a national award. So it's like you go from the local to the regional, then to the national. So she won 2 national awards, which is really awesome. We try to bring in designers for talks. So like, you know, really important people in the industry like James Victoria. Tyler Barnes is a really amazing designer. He was able to come too last year. Okay, and I'm gonna let Brittany take it from here.
Hi guys, so I am Brittany. If you come to our program for your post-bac, you will be working with me a lot to ensure that you're in the correct classes and making sure that you're succeeding during your time here. So what SOPA offers in terms of student support and success are academic advisors like myself who help keep you on track in terms of courses for graduation, any adding or dropping of courses, any academic issues you might have. Aside from that, as Rebecca said earlier, we have expert faculty with a lot of industry and field experience. You will work really closely with the faculty and you will get a lot of experience from them, and it's a great networking opportunity for post-grad as well. In terms of career advice, SOPA has our own career counselor. So you can meet with Miss Cynthia Washington and she can do things like mock interviews with you, help you build your resume, help prepare you for job interviews or even locate jobs that are available. We also have a very large network of Tulane alumni. As a Tulane student, you will automatically be connected to our alumni network so that if you're looking for jobs across country, or in another state or even outside the country, we may have people in our alumni network that can better connect you to those jobs. So we offer a lot of support to you during your time here. Applying is very easy. So you complete the online application form, and for undergraduate admission, you'll pay a $40 fee, which will be waived if you've attended this webinar today. You do need to have a clear photo ID uploaded, and all of your official transcripts need to be sent. We can view unofficial transcripts for conditional admittance, but in order to be a full student and able to actually register for courses, you do need to send in official transcripts and have those submitted digitally to us. If you have any questions or concerns, let us know. Application deadline, so there is still some time to get in for fall. August 1 is the deadline for fall, so if you haven't applied, you definitely still have time. For spring, that's January 1, and for summer, you're looking at May 15th. Tuition and financial aid. So all SOPA undergraduate tuition, which the PBCs do fall under, are 524 a credit. So if you're taking a 3-credit class, it's about $1,600 with the fees for one class. Financial aid is available. As a Tulane student, you will be assigned a specific financial aid counselor based on your last name. It goes by alphabet. If you have any questions about how to get connected to your specific financial aid advisor, please let us know. Any of us can help connect you. The types of aid that are available: federal grants and federal loans, as well as tuition discounts that we offer through SOPA for active duty military, veterans, teachers, and first responders. And a new thing to add with the financial aid is we have a laptop purchase program that was just enacted. So if you do have a financial aid award, you can apply for a one-time $2,500 increase to your award that can help purchase a laptop that you might need. If you're not receiving financial aid, you can still apply for this program, and I can send you some information on that. So contact me for any questions you have. Credits for prior learning. As a post-bac student, you can earn up to 6 credits or 2 courses for credits for prior learning. So what that means is if you have a lot of industry experience or you've been working in the field a lot, you can build a portfolio and get class credit for that work. So PBCs can earn up to 6 credits or 2 courses. Again, if you have any questions about that, I would be more than happy to walk through this a little bit more with you. If you think you qualify, let me know. Any additional questions? This is Dr. Garcia's contact information. I'm also going to put in the chat my email. So if you have any advising questions, registration questions, please feel free to reach out.
I will too. I'm going to put mine.
I have some questions.
Sure.
So the post-bac students are just integrated in classes with the undergraduate students, right?
Correct.
Yes.
And what would you say, like, is the ratio of how many undergrad students to post-bac people?
It really honestly depends on the class, but I would say tend to be a few more post-bac than undergrad.
Okay.
And it's actually a really nice blend. I felt like both learn from each other because obviously the post-bacs usually have more experience just in the world working, even if it's in a completely unrelated field, just more general life experience and a bigger perspective. A lot of times the post-bac students obviously take this really seriously because it's like, going back, changing careers sometimes. But the younger students, sometimes they're very obviously they're savvier, at least in just getting in the beginning with a lot of the software because they tend to be younger, they've done it longer. And it's a really nice mix of people. But I would say the post-bacs are possibly in the majority, depending on the class. Would you agree, Brittany? I don't have the exact numbers. I'm just kind of going off my own classes, but.
Yeah, I would say I was going to initially say maybe 50-50, but I think it definitely is more probably 60-40 post-bac.
Okay. And how many classes do y'all recommend someone taking per semester? Is there like a maximum amount that would be too much, or is there, a minimum?
Well, I think it depends on if you're, working full-time or not. So I guess students who, Brittany, and you might be able to help answer this a little more, students who are working full-time, depending on the kind of job they have, I'd say 1 or 2. A lot of students take 2.
Yeah, I would say 2 is probably about the average. However, we do have students that work full-time and work a lot. So they go at their own pace, and sometimes it'll vary by semester. We have a lot of students who maybe don't even take classes in the fall because their job is heavier then, and they stack up on courses more in the spring. So we don't have a required minimum or there is a maximum, but you would have to take 6 or 7 courses, which is not really recommended anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just kind of up to you and what you feel comfortable with. Now, we also do have drop deadlines in place every semester. So the good thing is you can always enroll in, say, 3 courses, attend the first week or 2, get the syllabi, kind of figure out how much time is going to be required from each class, and then make a decision to drop down from 3 courses to maybe 1 or 2 after you get that information. So there is a little bit of wiggle room at the start of each semester where you can kind of make those adjustments based on what the course is like or what it seems like is going to be required for that course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, well, if you have another, I was just seeing a text from Lisa in the chat, which may be related to your question. So let me answer that, and then yes, we'll come right back to you. I'm seeing Lisa saying, for beginning students, how much time outside of class is typically needed per class for homework, studying, project completion, learning software? This is a good question. There is a decent amount of time outside of class. Typically, classes are held once a week, but in most design programs, there's usually 2 classes per week, but because Tulane is really geared towards working adults and with a really busy schedule, we try to just meet once, but have like another kind of, it's not on a set day or time, but a chunk of time that could be done in class, if that makes sense, to be done outside of class, not including your project. So meaning that there would be maybe videos on software tutorials or videos just to further what we talked about in a lecture. But then there's always a project or an exercise or something that we do from one class to the other, because typically most design classes, obviously graphic design, history, and foundations a little bit different, but usually there's some sort of a project that you're working on that you will show at least in some phase in every class. So there's always that also to be worked on. So I'm not sure that, the amount, it's hard to say the amount of time, because it just kind of depends on people's different experiences and how fast they do it. But keep in mind, there's many hours that are not outside of class. Does that answer the question? Okay, great. Okay, Rachel, I think you had another question.
I did, but I'm trying.
I'm sorry.
No, that was useful information.
Okay.
Okay. So I am kind of open to any of the tracks because I'm trying to come at this from a very practical standpoint. Do y'all have a sense of, like, in interactive design or game design or graphic design, which of those fields has the most jobs, both locally and nationally?
Well, I will say that game art, I know we skipped the game art, and I'll tell you a little. Why don't I just tell you a little bit about that? Graphic design and interactive design, like I said, are very closely connected. You can't be an interactive designer unless you understand the basic graphic design principles. So it's just one focuses more on interactive things and one more on just the broader sense of design. Game art is a really, they're all together because it is an art form, but it is a very specific, it's literally the design of video games. Mm-hmm. And so if that's something you're interested, it's a kind of more of a niche thing. In town, there's at least two, one of them is In Exile, that produces video games. And then there's another one that does at least some sort of like augmented reality. So I would say, and Brittany kind of jump in, I'd say the interactive graphic design would be, there is probably more options. It's not quite so niche, but there's some people that are just so passionate about video games and that art form that's what they want to do. They may end up moving to Los Angeles or whatever, but they study it because they're really, really into that. But if you're more interested in just sort of design in general, I would say the graphic design or the interactive. And there's a lot of core classes that are the same in the beginning of those, like the foundations. Both tracks take the foundations. They both take the illustrator, the imaging and the illustration. They both take typography. There's a branding class. So there's a bunch of core classes they both take. So you could really start out not knowing for sure which way you want to go and quickly make that decision once you kind of learn a little more.
Okay.
To add to that, as a post-bac student, you do have a little bit more freedom in choosing your courses. So because you already have a bachelor's degree and you aren't really pigeonholed into the exact major requirements for that bachelor's degree, a post-bac requires 10 courses beyond the bachelor's. So if you start taking graphic design courses, but we offer an interactive course that you really want to take or you think would really benefit you in terms of post-grad career, then that's no big deal. We talk to Dr. Garcia and we substitute that course onto your track. So there is a lot of wiggle room in terms of building your curriculum. The post-bacs can kind of build it specifically to what they need post-grad and skill-wise, more so than the bachelor's student. So there will be opportunities to kind of co-mingle both the interactive and the graphic and even the game art if it's specific courses. But as Rebecca was saying, game art is really, really specific. So, if you're the game art track, you won't be substituting as many courses in and out because that one is so highly specified. But interactive and graphic, you do have the ability to kind of mix and mingle those courses.
Okay. Okay, cool. I think those are my main questions. I am kind of curious. So the way, Brittany, you were talking about being able to earn credits for an examination, or if you already have skills, what is that process like?
So that process requires taking a 3-credit portfolio course, which it wouldn't count toward your digital design requirements, but it essentially gives you the foundation for how to build that portfolio, what's required. So you would have to take, it's PAPL 1000 is the course. So you would take that, you'd learn how to build your portfolio. And then from there, you could build up to 2 portfolios for up to 2 course class credit. So, let's say you've been in the field and Photoshop, you are an expert, beyond an expert, you might be able to get credit for digital imaging. Same with Illustrator and digital illustration. So it just kind of, you would have to you would meet with the person in charge of that and Dr. Garcia and see which skills or which tools you might be able to then form into a portfolio to earn course credit. It really comes down to your skill level and how advanced you are in specific areas and what portfolios you might be able to build from that.
But it's like a class in itself, the portfolio building.
It is.
Worth the same, like it's the same number of credits. Like you would be paying the same amount to do that class as opposed to just taking the classes from the track.
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much.
Okay, got it. Okay. I think that's all I got for now.
Okay, if anything else comes up, you have our emails, and I'm on my email all the time. You might get emails from me very late at night. So, feel free to shoot us questions whenever they come up, whatever they are. We are here to help you along the way. And if you have any questions about your application or next steps, please reach out.
Okay, thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Thank y'all for coming. Yeah, and feel free to email me too.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.